Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Izzo.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. Just when we thought we were ready to bury Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, they decided we're not done yet. They put on a vintage performance last night. There's a step back from Steph from 30 feet out. They got Al Horford. Al Horford went nuts in the fourth quarter last night. Kevin Harlan was in disbelief. He made 4 threes in the fourth. That one gave Golden State its first lead since midway through the second quarter to put them up 2. Clippers have tied it. This is a win-or-go-home situation. Why not? Steph for the lead with under a minute to go. I mean, this guy missed 2.5 months of the year. Golden State well under 500. That dagger put the Warriors up by 3. Jimmy buckets. Even loving that. How about one more? Draymond steal. Comes up with a loose ball. Steph gets it. They have to foul. The Clippers do as they're down 6. You know what's going to happen there. Steph makes his free throws, and Golden State is still alive. Warriors win it 126-121. They will play Phoenix tomorrow night. That's for the 8th seed in the Western Conference. Again, Golden State finished the regular season 8 games under 500, 37-45 to finish 10th in the West. But when you got that guy, you're not out of it yet. So, here's the up-to-date bracket. The Clippers are done. And by the way, because the Clippers didn't make the playoffs, Oklahoma City gets their pick. They have a lottery pick now. Like the Thunder need more help. Blazers will play the Spurs. Portland, of course, beat Phoenix the other night in the play-in game. And we'll have Warriors-Suns for the 8th seed coming up tomorrow. Meanwhile, in the Eastern Conference, the 76ers beat Orlando. So Philadelphia will be the 7th seed. They'll play Boston in the opening round of the NBA postseason, which begins this weekend, meaning the Hornets will play the Magic for the 8th seed. The winner of that will play Detroit in the opening round on Sunday. Those games coming up tomorrow night. With that, we say good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mic here on this Thursday morning, the 16th day of April, 2026. Great to be with everyone. It was vintage Kevin Harlan last night. I know if you can't find the games on Amazon Prime, you're missing out because the last couple nights have been A-OK. That Charlotte game with Miami on Tuesday, I caught the end of Golden State and the Clippers. That's the only reason we showed it this morning. You're going to be your Warriors-Clippers home, but seeing Al Horford go crazy in the fourth quarter, making 4 threes, and then Steph doing what he did, it's just, you can't deny greatness there. So we'll see what happens coming up on Friday with those 2 games. Then our win and move on, lose and go home there in the NBA playoffs. Today's the final day of the NHL regular season. We know when the Wolves are playing. We don't know yet on the Minnesota Wild. There's a lot of rumor out there that the Wild are going to play on Saturday against Dallas to start the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll get the official playoff schedule tonight once the final games are done, because there's still playoff positioning need to be locked up in both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. So once that's done, the playoff schedule will be out. We'll know who's playing who in the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. A lot to get to today. Yesterday we were out at Theraldson Park. St. Thomas softball swept North Dakota State. The 2 games we brought you on WDAY Extra. That did not stop any of the news happening, which we'll try to recap as best we can, because portal season is off and rolling, and there is movement going everywhere, whether it's in football or basketball. So we'll update that here, of course, our show today. Also, as we were out there, the Twins were playing yesterday as they were going for a series sweep against the Red Sox, and I got a really interesting email. I want to share part of that after we show you what happened at Target Field yesterday. Connolly Early was really, really good. My favorite name in all of baseball, who's the starter for Boston, gave up a couple early runs and then settled down after that. Austin Martin is feasted on all the left-handed pitchers that have gone for the Twins' opponents this year. That's a bomb to get the Twins out to an early lead. It didn't last. Simeon Richardson ran into a bunch of trouble in the third. Masataka Yoshida reaches on the fielder's choice because I don't know what Luke Keyshaw was doing here. Went to the Dom Izzo School of Infielding. Throws that away. 2 runs come in to score. It's 2-1. Later in the inning, Trevor Story. Remember when the Twins are going to try and get him? That is a 3-run home run. Start of a massive day for him. He's finally healthy after leaving the Rockies. It's 5-1. The Red Sox add into it here. This bloop into the gap off the bat of Andrew Monasterio. That makes it a 6-1. Red Sox lead. It's 7-1 when Story's up again. Opposite field power to the gap in right center. That'll bring home 2 more runs. It's 9-1 Boston at that point. The Twins put some lipstick on this pig in the 9th inning after a Brooks Lee RBI single. Ryan Kreidler, another home run for this guy? That's a 3-run shot. Made it 9-5, and that was your final as Boston salvages 1 win out of this series as they beat up Woods Richardson, who goes 5 innings, allows 10 hits, 7 runs, 6 of them earned. Of course, the Keyshaw error didn't help things as Boston avoids the sweep, and the Twins are dealt just their second loss in their last 10 games by the final of 9-5. They have an off day today before they're back in action coming up tomorrow back at Target Field as they welcome in the Cincinnati Reds, a rare National League Central opponent coming to Target Field. So now we're officially 2 full weeks into things here, right? Oh, actually 3, 3 full weeks. Gosh, time flies here. 3 full weeks into the season. The standings look as this, as the Twins have a game lead over Cleveland. The Tigers are at 9-9. The Royals at 7-11, and the White Sox at 6-12. That's where things stand 3 full weeks into the Major League Baseball season. The best record in the American League right now, at least percentage points wise, belongs to the Yankees, who are at 10-7, just a few percentage points ahead of the Twins. But nobody in the American League is running away. The Twins are 11-8. You see, Guardians are 10-9, Rays are 10-7, Yankees 10-8, Athletics are 10-8. They swept the Mets, so they got some wins there. The National League, the Braves are 12-7, Pirates 11-7, the Reds are 11-7. Obviously, the Dodgers have the best record going, and no surprise there at 14-4. Worst records, just out of curiosity, White Sox are 6-12. The Mets are 7-12. The Mets have lost 8 games in a row. I'm not talking about it. I'm refusing to discuss it right now. Because somebody asked me yesterday up at the ballpark, and I'm like, I'm not doing this right now because they stink. But the Twins do not, and they're playing well. And we'll see what happens coming up tomorrow night when they open up the series with the Reds. Now, as that was going on, the bat phone was ringing yesterday as we're up at NDSU because the football team at North Dakota State is not done tinkering with its roster for 2026. Not a commitment. You met Hunter Peterson in our show yesterday, who's a part of the Bison football class of 2027. Tim Polasek said to us when we were up at Bison Pro Day almost a month ago now that they were going to add a couple of wide receivers to the team. They have been active in that, and we can now tell you who they're going to add. The first guy is from Arizona. Jeremiah Patterson signed his paperwork yesterday and will be joining the Bison football team this upcoming fall. Patterson hails from California, played 2 years of junior college ball at San Mateo Junior College, was really good there, and then spent the last 2 years at the University of Arizona in the Big 12. 5'11", speedy guy. He was used, you can see, on both punt and kick return. Has really good hands, can get out in space and make some guys miss. He played all 12 games in 2024, had 26 receptions for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. You can see his ability in the open field is really intriguing. Only played 4 games last year, didn't record any catches. He was able to keep his year of eligibility by playing in just the 4 games, meaning he could redshirt and enter the portal in January. And the Bison visited with him and made it official. I believe it'll become officially official either later today or tomorrow that he will be part of this incoming transfer class that now is nearing double digits with him joining the team. So that's one. The other comes to North Dakota State by virtue of West Virginia and then Jacksonville State. Jordan McCants is the other wide receiver that's joining the Bison football team. McCants also at that same size, 5'11", 178 pounds, and will be his third school. He did not play last year at West Virginia. He came with Rich Rodriguez. Of course, he was the coach at Jacksonville State, where McCants played for 3 years, and then transferred to West Virginia when Rich Rod got the job in Morgantown, and comes to Fargo from there. McCants played in 29 total games over 3 years with Jacksonville State. 16 receptions for 146 yards and didn't score any touchdowns. A native of Birmingham, had 5 FBS offers coming out of high school. Troy, South Alabama, Marshall, a lot of Sunbelt CUSA offers. Rich Rod described McCants as very athletic and has good speed and is also a very, very good student. Guy that we think can learn all 4 of our receiver positions, which is going to make him really valuable for us. Now, this will be a reunion for McCants to start the new football season because the Bison are slated to play Jacksonville State in the 2026 season opener here at the Dome. Now, if you're wondering, okay, what does that mean for the Bison wide receiver position coming into the year? And I think we talked about this quite a bit, knowing Bryce Lance, gone. Chris Harris, gone. Raja Nelson, gone. You actually look at the top 3 receivers or the top 3 pass catchers on NDSU for last year were Barika Penu, who was here yesterday, Bryce Lance, and Raja Nelson, all gone. So leaves pretty much a gap there. Now, Jackson Williams is obviously back. Mekhi Collins is back. I looked this stat up as I wrote the story, and you can check out more of it at Inforum.com. Jackson Williams had 17 receptions last year. His main thing was not pass catcher. He was still being the dual guy on special teams. And he told us, we played that interview a couple weeks ago when he was on, that he plans to still do that in 2026, even though you saw, at least for Patterson, has certainly done that. But if you add up so Williams had 17 catches. If you add up the guys that are coming back and the amount of catches they had, it also equals 17. Mekhi Collins, Logan Conklin, Isaiah St. Romain, Johnny Gores, Cade Osterman. Those guys together combined for 17. So, obviously, production an issue. And I think you want to say talent is? Sure. There's clearly an upgrade that they were looking for. Now, neither one of these guys are over 6 feet tall, which you can make that however you want. Collins is well over that. Conklin is over that. St. Romain is. Gores obviously isn't. Osterman slightly is. They like a couple of their young wide receivers as well that redshirted last year, but this is obviously an attempt to improve the position, something they thought they needed to do, and have gone and done that. These guys aren't going to be available here. Spring football only has a week left. They'll be here for the summer and then try to acclimate themselves into the offense for this upcoming year. Each of them have – Patterson has a year left. McCants has a year left. Patterson – thinks because of his junior college time that he may have more than one, going back, citing the Diego Pavia lawsuit that Pavia sued the NCAA because he thought his junior college time didn't count. The judge agreed with him, and he got to play an extra year at Vanderbilt last season. So that is for down the road. But the Bison have added now 2 more players. And that goes on top now. That's 10 total transfers they have brought in for this upcoming year. Obviously, they lost 8 guys, and those were all 8 impact players that decided to leave after the football season was done in December. So they added a new punter, a new long snapper, linebacker, couple of defensive ends, obviously an offensive lineman that they brought in, now 2 wide receivers. This has been an active time for Tim Polasek to add to his football team, and we've tried to introduce you to as many as possible. We'll do that here still between now and the end of spring football, which is a week from tomorrow. So that's the new additions that the Bison football team has for its roster for the upcoming fall. More on that coming up later on in the show. We got a lot to get to today. Our guest lineup brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Coming up at 9:35, you'll meet the newest Bison basketball transfer. Jack Robison will join us from Lakeville North by virtue of the University of Wisconsin. Robison went in the portal when it opened up last week. He was a finalist for Mr. Basketball in his senior year, 2024. Spent the last 2 years with the Badgers, didn't play a whole lot. Well, went in, and the Bison had used some connections here. So you'll meet Jack coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, our guy Sam Goetzinger will join us, give us the lowdown on everything that he's been seeing and covering. We'll do that at 10. And at 10:35, Steve Laqua will join us as the Dragons are nearing the end of their spring football. We'll talk with him about that. And an update, because a week from now, the NFL draft begins. And his former quarterback, Jack Strand, is getting plenty of heat about potential of being a draft pick. So we'll catch up with Coach Laqua coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Thursday morning. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll chat on the draft, update the situation at Shanley as well, and a few other things as we get going here on this Thursday morning. Glad you're joining us on a beautiful day. We're back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Off and rolling here on a Thursday morning. Quick shout-out to our forum technical team, because I've gotten this email a few times over, and this morning you can debut. If you check out here right now on inforum.com, you go to the top part of the screen. I don't know if I can maybe screen this down so you can see a little bit better. Right there at the top, live now, Hot Mic with Dom Izzo. One click, check this out, and bam, you go to the show. There we are. How about that? So thank you to everybody for making that happen. That's fantastic. So for those that, have to search for it, because I've heard that before, like, boy, it's kind of hard to find. So I appreciate everybody, Maddie upstairs and everybody at the forum for making that happen. That's really cool. A one-stop shopping to find our show, which hopefully will help people to get into it. Because I will say this, and this is going to sound total pat in the back, and we're just self-congratulations. The amount of feedback that I have received over the last couple of days for our coverage of what went down at Shanley has been really, really overwhelming, honestly. I've heard from all corners on what went down, and I appreciate that. Just doing our job here of bringing something to light that I think many didn't want to talk about, and we're just making sure that getting the facts out there what went down. As I have said before, I have extended invites to all parties concerned, whether it be Mark Holcraft, Shanley's athletic director, to both the dismissed basketball coaches. Beth Maher I've chatted with Beth, who said, I'm not ready to do anything. Invitation is there. She put out a tweet yesterday. First time that she's said anything publicly since announcing that she was no longer the coach when she did that on Saturday night. This is what she tweeted out yesterday, that thank you for all your messages. Means so much. The Shanley community I know is kind, supportive, and is shared in this sadness with me. We were a part of Shanley long before coaching. I believe in what it could be and still do. Disappointed, but moving forward. As I mentioned on Monday, that Beth's family has her kids go there. She was part of the 9th grade coach before coming up to be the varsity coach a couple years ago. And so it's been part of what's happened there. And it makes you shake your head on, frankly, that was the decision that they went with. And again, I was told from sources I trust that they were hopeful that this was just going to kind of be swept under the rug, that it's not going to get, we'll move on and not have to deal with it. And that was not going to happen, frankly. I'm glad that our colleagues at the forum made sure that they reported on it as much as we did. And frankly, I think hopefully the power of this show certainly got it out there more than they were willing to accept. Now, I think, as I mentioned yesterday, that we were ready to move on, and I fully believe that. Beth says that as well. My only thing on this is we will certainly circle back to it when they're ready to announce who the new coaches are going to be. And if anybody is willing to chat about it, then, yeah, we'll ready to rip that can of worms open going forward. I've had a few other requests to talk about it as well, and I've done that. But at this point, we're just beating a dead horse here. I'm sure there are other instances that have happened, and I know there have. We've talked about it. But as long as that keeps going on in terms of the parents getting their way, then this is going to keep happening. So AD actually has a backbone and is ready to say, no, this is the person I hired. You deal with them, and unless it's resulting in physical harm or verbal abuse, then we're not dealing with this. You deal with the head coach on that. So I wanted to make sure we got to that. Two other things here. We're a week out from the draft, so now it can become crazy time. I was actually chatting with Cole Payton briefly yesterday as well. He's on his way back to Omaha today after he flew back into Fargo after another visit. We know he was with the Colts, as Tom Pelissero reported that, I believe on Monday, that Cole was visiting with Indianapolis. We're hopeful we're going to have Cole either on tomorrow or early next week to get ready for the draft. And the final real projections are getting out there. Right now, Bryce Lance is the top-rated FCS prospect. We can say that for the last time with the draft, that the Bison being an FCS school. Bryce is right now projected anywhere. Second round seems a bit high. I think third round is likely where he's going to go, which we were talking about yesterday will be sometime after 8 o'clock next Friday to prepare for that. Caleb Proctor is up next from southeastern Louisiana. Jeff Caldwell from Lindenwood, somewhere in the third or fourth round. Charles Demings, who's the great corner from Stephen F. Austin. Cole Payton, they have anywhere I've seen has been the fourth to the fifth round. And that's likely where it's going to happen for the former Bison quarterback. And it will be really interesting to see how many QBs go before him. That, to me, we know Mendoza's going Thursday. He might be the only one. Ty Simpson, his name has been bantied about. There are different projections on that. And I am not a mock draft guy. The only time I really look at it is with guys that we're covering or ones that would have any direct connection to back here. Look at Mel Kiper put out his last one yesterday, which is a 2-round affair there. And I'm scanning that. They have Kenyon Sadiq to Tampa at 15. That's a guy I thought the Vikings would potentially, if he could somehow get to 18. They have Thieneman there, which is, we've talked about that, the safety from Oregon. We'll have our mock draft show, by the way, a week from today. Excited to do that again for the 7th year, we've done it, which is crazy to say that out loud. He does not have Ty Simpson going until 30 to the Cardinals, making a trade with Miami to take that pick. So, again, no lock that there's going to be 2 quarterbacks even drafted in the first round. And then after that, is it Drew Aller that goes? Is it Nussmeier who goes before Cole Payton? That's the really intriguing part about this. For the Vikes, again, we were mentioning this yesterday, it's not super exciting nor sexy to have a safety be the number one guy that you take in the first round, but now it's about positional need, and that's likely what Rob Brzezinski, who's running this draft, is going to do for the Vikings. Personally, I'm really interested in what happens afterwards, because the Wilfs have said they will hire a GM after the draft. Is it Rob Brzezinski's job then? We'll find out, but that's an NFL draft update for you there. Let's break. We come back. You'll meet the newest member of the Bison men's basketball team by virtue of the University of Wisconsin. Jack Robison will join us when Hot Mike returns on this Thursday morning. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike off and rolling here on a beautiful Thursday morning. Going to feel like 70 out again here today, and then we're going to 40? I'll get my annual gripe on the weather here out of the way. We mentioned earlier on the football side of things, NDSU was active. They added 2 wide receivers for the upcoming season. Basketball's been active as well. We introduced yesterday Caden Tate from Des Moines Area Community College is going to join the Bison for this upcoming year. And then yesterday they added another, this one by virtue of the Big Ten, the University of Wisconsin out of Lakeville North. Jack Robison announced yesterday that he will be transferring and joining NDSU for the upcoming basketball season, and he joins us here this morning to chat about it. It's great to see you, bud. Congrats on this, and give us the lowdown on going into the portal and why NDSU was the place for you to come.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I loved Wisconsin. I loved every part of it. It was great. The people there were amazing, and I knew going into the portal, I wanted to find something very similar to that, like a similar culture, people that I think I would, enjoy to be around and value the same things that I value and, what we did at Wisconsin. And it just kind of stuck out to me right off the bat. And, I really respect Coach Richmond and have seen what he's done over the years. And, had been talking to Andy Stefanowicz, who's one of my best friends, so that played a big factor into it too. So it just kind of all made sense.
Give us that the backstory. How Andy, and was he twisting your arm saying, "Hey, come on up here"?
So I've known Andy since like 3rd or 4th grade. We started playing AU basketball together, and we were on the same team every year up until our senior year. So. He really wasn't twisting my arm a lot. I think he tried to do a little bit of that without trying to kind of annoy me, I guess. But yeah, no, our families are super close. Like, we've been on vacation together, and Andy came to Madison this past summer to visit, and I'm just super excited to be able to be with him again.
Let's talk about the Wisconsin experience, because you were a highly decorated player out of high school. It seems like there's an indirect path from Lakeville North to Madison, which I want to ask about later. But What was the last 2 years like? Obviously, you didn't play as much, I'm sure, as you wanted to. Were you frustrated with that, or how would you describe the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's a little frustration. Like, as a competitor, you want to be out there, but also just having the experience of, what we've done the past 2 years, like, played in like 10 NBA arenas and went into Mackey and won, and went into Michigan and won this year. And all these great things we got to experience. Like, I'll never take that for granted, and I'll never trade that for anything. But yeah, like, I mean, there's, definitely didn't go the way I wanted it to on the court wise. And there's, I think just how I kind of fit into the system wasn't quite the perfect fit, but I mean, like, the culture and everything was exactly what I wanted. And, I see that at NDSU too. So
Big Ten basketball is a big thing, man. We see it. You lived it. Is it as competitive, physical as we see on television?
Yeah. I mean, those 5 men are just so huge. It's crazy. And playing on the road is, it's as hard of a thing that you have to do in basketball. So, it's really cool. We had 3 huge road wins at Illinois, at Purdue, and at Michigan this year. And, those are things that I'll never forget.
Now, those are all pretty good teams. When you think about it, when you go back and see how the basketball season unfolded. Was this going on as the season's going on? Are you thinking, well, maybe this isn't going to be like, when does it come to your mind? Like, I think I'm going to move on.
Yeah. I don't know if there was like an exact time, but like it crosses your mind, and it gets hard, like, because I'm still putting everything I have into the season we were in, and helping the team on the scout team and staying ready, like, no matter what happens. So I mean, it crosses your mind, but I think just like the team we had and how close we all were, like, I was still completely bought into what we were doing there.
So you decide to leave. So does Andy reach out to you, or how did that all come about where NDSU got into the mix?
Yeah. Like, Andy was definitely a huge part of that. I'd been texting with him, and, obviously we're super close. So I had known of his experience there before. And then Coach Richmond has a pretty good relationship with my high school coach. Who's a Fargo guy. And, I think there, been a relationship there. So I had known of them, and it just seemed like a program that maybe had mutual interest.
When you came up, Jack, what stood out or what surprised you when you came up to Fargo and saw NDSU for the first time?
I don't know if there was much surprises. I think I really liked the facility. I really liked the team, but it's the people that really set it off for me. I mean, was the most important part is the culture and the people around the program that I knew was going to be the biggest thing making this decision, and it just felt right off the bat.
What did Andy, if anything, did he tell you about the Summit League and what the kind of competition level is that you'll be getting yourself into here?
Yeah, no, he said it's the competition's stiff. Like, it's tough. It's the same thing as the Big Ten. It's hard to go win on the road. It's really hard to go win at South Dakota State and to go win at St. Thomas in South Dakota. So, I'm excited for that challenge.
This sounds like an obvious question. How excited are you to play? I have to imagine just you're ready to rip the door off the hinges, right?
Yeah, I can't wait for November to come and to finally start playing games. And I mean, I've got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, and I'm excited to come in and hopefully help impact a winning season.
Your high school experience, I mean, we mentioned earlier, you have the accolades. You were a finalist for Mr. Basketball. I could go for about 5 minutes listing them off, and I don't want to embarrass you, but just what was that like playing in that environment? You're playing at the top level in high school in Minnesota. We see it up here. I talked to Andy about this from his experience playing at Minnetonka. What was that like at a night-to-night basis, knowing full well that defenses were trying to stop you?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we played a super tough schedule at Lakeville North. Like, we played Park Center, Wayzata. Never got to play Andy at Minnetonka, but Totino Grace. Like, we had a super tough schedule, and we had a really good team, and with a bunch of guys that. What I think was super special about my high school was it was all guys that grew up together and played together since we were little kids. So to be able to do that and win a conference championship and go to the state tournament the year before and to do all those things with the guys you've been playing with since you're little kids, it was something I'll never trade for.
All right, here's a controversial take: is Williams Arena or Target Center better for the state basketball championship? What's your 2 cents on that?
Personally, I think the Target Center is better.
Okay.
I like the NBA arena. I think it adds a different aspect. I love Williams Arena. We went there twice in my 2 years at Wisconsin, and had great games against them. But I personally like the Target Center.
So for people that don't know, your dad, Tom, played at UND. What was the reaction when you told him that, hey, I'm going to be a Bison?
I mean, he was super happy for me. He didn't. Maybe there was a little hard feeling in there, but he didn't show it at all. He was super excited and happy, I guess, to be up back in the same area.
Has he told you about his basketball days?
Yeah, I've heard some stories. So yeah.
What has he told you about the UND NDSU rivalry that now you're stepping yourself into here next fall?
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty intense. I've heard some stories of fans that were pretty passionate both ways, and yeah, I'm excited. I love good rivalry.
So now you've experienced the portal part of it. You experienced high-level recruiting and now this. Can you tell us, for people that don't know, Jack, of what it's like, either getting messages from people you don't know, or just is it overwhelming both on the recruiting side out of high school and then going through this experience now in the transfer portal?
Yeah, I would say they're very different situations. Like the high school recruiting for me was, they really get to know you. They get to know your family, visit multiple times and, send mail and all this thing, come to your high school games, whatever. So it's different than the portal, which is, for me, it was just a week. It was a week period of, like constant Zoom calls, phone calls, texts. Like my screen time on my phone this past week was much higher than it normally was. So, yeah, it's much more. I've heard the term speed dating.
Yes.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot more quick and to the point, I would say. So it's a little more overwhelming than high school.
But how important is it, though, like high school recruiting, to have a relationship? You mentioned that the relationship you had with Andy, that gave you kind of an anchor in all of this.
Yeah, it definitely made an impact, because honestly, like the programs that first come to your mind when you enter the transfer portal are more programs that recruited you out of high school.
Right.
Like it's kind of that's kind of what first comes to mind, because you already have those relationships. And North Dakota State did not recruit me out of high school, but having Andy there and knowing people that are around the program and know Coach Richmond, it felt comfortable.
For people, Jack, that haven't seen your game, can you describe it, of how you play and what kind of style you play on the floor?
Yeah, I would say, like, offensively, I'm a kind of a combo forward, like wing forward type player, who can, guard multiple positions. I'm a pretty good shooter, left-handed, but yeah, I think I cut well. And, I think I just kind of have a knack for, playing the game the right way. And that's what excites me, especially playing with Andy, because he has the same feel and, is so good at finding people, cutting and coming off of screens and stuff. So, but yeah, defensively, not the most athletic player, but I think I'm in the right spot most of the time. And if there's a loose ball, I'm going to dive on it. If there's someone's coming down the lane, I'll take a charge. So, those are just things that I've always been taught how to do and take pride in doing that.
Tell me the reaction since you made this announcement yesterday. What's it been like, and has it surprised you at all?
Yeah, I would say it's been very positive, and I would say, like, it maybe did surprise me a little bit how passionate NDSU fans are. So that's something that really excites me, and yeah.
Well, there's a history there. The Bison played Wisconsin. This is 2006. I don't know if that's ever brought up when you were in Madison, because they're never going to play that North Dakota State in basketball ever again, because the Bison went there and beat them way back when.
Yeah, I never heard about that at Wisconsin, but Coach Richmond was quick to tell me that. So,
lastly, before I let you go, just having this all wrapped up, was this You wanted to have it done quickly, or is it when I know the school, that's when I'm going to commit?
Yeah, I didn't set a timeline on it, but I knew I didn't want this to drag on super long, and it just felt right. So, at that point, I didn't feel there was any reason to wait or do other things. So, I just felt comfortable with my decision right away, and yeah.
Actually, I had one last one. Does Coach Gard have his own parking spot at Lakeville? Is that? I'm sure you probably heard that. I'm sure you probably heard that time and time again. But is it crazy how many guys have gone there to Madison?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Because it was Nate Reavers graduated from Lakeville in 2017, I think, and then I graduated in 2024. So between that period to have 4 guys from the same, average size high school go there is pretty crazy. But if you ask, that was the pipeline to Wisconsin, the basketball pipeline. If you ask our head football coach at Lakeville North, Brian Vossen, he will mention the football pipeline to NDSU. So
he will.
I'm joining that pipeline too, I guess.
Who would you say for Lakeville North in basketball? I know who it is in football. Who in basketball is your biggest rival?
Lakeville South.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What are those games like?
Those are fun because you know everybody, so it's it's fun. I will say I never lost to Lakeville South in my years there. Though.
There you go.
So
you got that forever, man. I appreciate you doing this, bud. Congratulations. Good luck. We'll look forward to seeing you up here in a little bit. When do you actually come up to Fargo? Do you know yet?
Yeah, I think we start summer workouts June 6th. Okay. So not too long.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
We'll see you up here in a little bit. Thanks for doing this, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Jack Robison joining us, the newest member of the Bison men's basketball team, transferring in from the University of Wisconsin. He'll have a couple years to play 6'6". You heard him mention his game a little bit. You saw some highlights there. I mean, out of high school, this guy had I'll do it now because we got a couple minutes before we go to break. Finalist for Mr. Basketball in 2024. Number 4 ranked recruit in the state of Minnesota. Over 1,600 career points. 3rd all-time at Lakeville North. 3-time first-team all-conference player. He was the Pioneer Press Metro Player of the Year. Star Tribune first-team all-Metro. I mean, he was a great, great high school player. I remember his name, certainly just because I follow it in Minnesota boys basketball. Like, well, he's really good player. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work at Wisconsin. Wisconsin they get really good players there. And this is where sometimes the bounce backs could potentially work. This is a guy who wants to play. I think Andy Stefanowicz is a pretty good dude to give it to him straight about exactly what he's getting himself into with Richmond. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And again, for NDSU, it's about finding that right concoction of guys. David did that this past year, finding junior college guys to go with maybe a couple of guys who are looking for another year to play or another year to be coached hard and win, with maybe a drop down or two. And that's what he's trying to piece together here. And so they've got 2 now as part of the 26-27 roster. Let's break. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour with some really interesting news out of the high school football world in North Dakota. We'll do that. Second hour, Steve Laqua coming. Big second hour on tap here on a Thursday. We're back after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour with some high school football news. Got wind of this last week, actually, when Truman Weremeyer was here in studio, that longtime Hall of Fame head football coach Jay Gibson, who resigned as head coach of the Packers in November, is back in the game. He will be the defensive coordinator for Wayne Weremeyer's state champion Davies Eagles this upcoming fall. Jay said to Ryan Spitz in the forum that Wayne had reached out potentially to be coaching defensive backs. And then when Eric Peterson, they basically did a trade. Eric Peterson we had on the show a couple weeks ago when he took as the West Fargo job, as he was the Davies DC for Wayne, and then flip-flop, and he's taken the head coaching job. So Jay's going to take his job as defensive coordinator. Jay told the forum, quote, "I have ties with Wayne Weremeyer, and so when I resigned from West Fargo, he called me as soon as he found out about it today. Do you want to come coach with me?" And he said, kind of, which is such a Jake Gibson answer. He said, when I broke into coaching in the early 80s, I coached defensive backs and wide receivers. You get all the fun when you're a position coach. You get good relationships with student athletes. You get to watch them improve. Then they ask you questions. They don't have to go to the head coach. He said he wanted to be a position coach when he announced his resignation from West Fargo. But now in a really unique twist with Peterson going to take the West Fargo head coaching gig, Jay will take the DC job at Davies. So I knew he would find his way into the game one way or the other. He mentioned this. He said, I'm going to miss the West Fargo coaches and the West Fargo athletes. They've been really good to me, and I've had a lot of fun for 35 years. 6 state championships, 12 EDC titles, 29 playoff appearances, 217 wins, 5 times named Coach of the Year. Goes without saying. And I know I had people saying, well, if you're looking at West Fargo, what happened with Jay? I didn't get nearly the amount of information that we did out of the past experience, what happened at Shanley. One way or the other, I think there had been push for a while, I think, from some that were ready to move Jay on. But they always won. They would always be competitive. Again, it's like what – like I mentioned earlier in the week, who do you think you're going to get that's better? I wish Eric Peterson all the success in the world. That you want to be the guy that follows the guy. You want to be the one that follows the guy. You want to be the 1-2 after that. That is a heck of a job to step into. After you've had one coach for nearly 40 years, and now to follow that, that's tough. That's like whoever ends up being the guy to follow Larry Knutson, that's a heck of a thing to follow. And that's why Jeff Culhane, great friend who now calls Florida State football and basketball, he had the hardest job here. He had to follow Scotty Miller. And all Culhane did was kill it for the 5 years he was here, and now he's working in Tallahassee. It's really hard, really, really hard to be the guy to follow the guy. Let's break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Sam Goetzinger will join us. We'll chat plenty of what's going on in the local sports world, including his Colts, talking to Cole Payton. That and much more when we start hour 2. He's pushing buttons. Maybe he can't do the show. We'll do that when we come back.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions. The original line read as this: bunions. You may have heard of them. That was my original line.
Hey, thank you, Dom. Johnny Cool Guys there with the sunglasses on.
That was off the dome.
To the west of
when
Illinois.
I'm looking on it, like west. I shouldn't say right and left. Is that Missouri?
That is Missouri.
Yes.
That is
underneath
Missouri.
Iowa. Oh, I'm getting good at this.
He's coming.
So we're going to like the bottom peninsula region.
Peninsula?
Okay, we're going to come back on the ETSU tailgate and then go to you. How am I going to go from a tailgate to bunions?
Okay, good deal.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions.
There he is in studio, our guy. Good to see you, man.
Good morning. How are you?
I just feel like I saw you yesterday.
Yeah.
I did.
How was my debut on Color Commentary?
Have you not done that ever before?
Not since college.
Yeah?
It's been about...
What was the last one you did in college?
6 years. Probably some softball game.
Yeah?
In the Husky Dome or something. So I had to really tap into the old ball knowledge that hasn't been in use for a while.
Well, you did great. I appreciate you helping me out because that was a longer day than I thought it was going to be up there.
Those games, they went the distance. There's no doubt about that.
See, it was just out of the reach of being run ruled.
It seemed like it was going to get
within
there,
our grasp,
and then each time either one team couldn't get over the threshold or one team would come back.
So game 1 took 2:08, 2 hours and 8 minutes. Game 2 was 2 hours 21 minutes.
Which is like, in the grand scheme of things, for a single game, that's not bad. But for a doubleheader, 4 hours is pretty long. And considering those games are only 7 innings,
I think, Eric was all covered up. You didn't get sunburned, did you, up there? He was doing the top camera.
Oh, I think,
yesterday.
he had the whole.
He was good.
He had the
I
whole
hope Jeb was all right,
garb
because
on.
Jeb was down below in the sun getting blasted down
Right,
there.
and that was coming directly behind them.
Yes.
As it got later. It got a little warm last night.
Our guy Brody got sunburned.
Brody
pretty
got it
good.
bad?
Oh, yeah, he
Oh,
got
boy.
bad. I got windburn.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you kept saying it was a perfect
Windburn,
day.
it was
perfect.
5 miles an hour.
It was perfect.
You kept saying picture perfect
It
day, and
was.
I'm up there like, yeah, this wind is right in my face, just blowing everywhere.
You know,
I'm like,
that reminds me
I'm
of.
just like, no, this isn't perfect.
Oh.
If it was perfect, there's no wind.
That reminds me of Terre Haute.
Oh.
Remember that? What did you said something about, yeah, it's starting to come down a little bit, and it's been downpouring for 20 minutes. I'm just like, what? You got to be kidding
So
me.
at
I'm
least from
soaking
our
wet.
vantage point,
yeah,
and
it was hard to
just starting
tell.
to come down.
It was hard to tell up where you guys were situated, but being directly underneath it, that was tough.
St. Thomas went and swept the Bison yesterday, won 10-2 and 8-3. So Bison win streak was snapped. They had won 4 in a row going into that game. Now 4-5. They'll play again this weekend with Kansas City. For those that missed it, the schedules got moved around because we're going from 70 to 40 tomorrow. So Bison baseball now only play a doubleheader on Sunday, and then softball's playing 2 on Sunday and 1 on Monday.
Just
such is life.
The beast of spring sports in the Midwest.
Yes,
You
it
just
is.
got to adjust on the dime.
What do you want to talk about here? You interested in the
You
draft?
tell me.
You want to
You
talk
tell me.
on
What are you
the
thinking?
NHL playoffs are right around the corner.
You tell me.
What do you?
I was
what are
thinking
you
about the
into?
playoffs a little bit. I guess we could start there. Matchup's going to be fun. What has it been since 2014? Since the Wild 15 since they've got out of the first round, and then of course they're blessed with this fantastic season and this great team, and then they have to go up against the Dallas Stars. I know we've talked about that ad nauseum
the
here.
1 through 8 would be so much better.
No, I
It
know.
just would be. It just
Like what?
Somebody actually
That goes
posted
back
it
to our
online.
conversation with North Dakota high school playoffs. Why did everybody go away through the 1 through 8 seeding or 1 through 16 or whatever it may be? Why is that not a thing anymore?
Well, you experienced that in basketball, in Class B, which is very rarely. Like when I called it, they were still doing just the top 5, but more often than not, 1 and 2 made it to the championship round.
Right.
More often than not, you didn't have a ton of upsets there. I would love to see it in the big school basketball.
I agree.
Double-A basketball.
I agree.
That would be
I think that would.
fantastic.
I think that would change things up a little bit. Now, granted, I still think the 2 teams that were in the finals maybe
Right.
were
They
going to
still
be
very
in
well
it
could be
regardless.
there.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that would be pretty neat because that would adjust some of the matchups in that opening round and potentially get less blowouts.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? There was a decent amount in all those tournaments that went east versus west.
And that may still very well happen, but at least you'd have a better way of determining who plays in the championship rather than
I agree.
If I lost
that,
a game in the EDC tournament.
to have Horace and Century in the opening round.
No.
That's not an opening round
No.
game. That's a semifinal game at worst. you know?
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
So to avoid situations like that, I think the 1 through 8 is a good idea.
I always get nervous when I hear I have an idea.
I heard that too. I
This ought to be
clenched.
good. If it has anything to do with goulash, we're not putting you on the air. What do you got? What do you got?
So, okay, I'm from Wisconsin. So
Always starts with I'm from Wisconsin.
That's not
well, I
breaking
gotta
news.
preface that because
The
some
whole
viewers
town
may not
knows.
know. So why don't we do like a true state tournament where the East and the West are all mixed in instead of doing these conference tournaments? There's 22 teams or something like that. Why can't we seed them all 1 through 22, and then the top 8 you go play at the state tournament instead of doing East versus West?
Yeah.
So you have a full state tournament leading into the state tournament?
Yes, like you seed them 1 through 22 or however. I don't know how many teams there are. You guys would know that more than I would. But instead of
I think
doing
it's 20
that,
now.
Well, I keep hearing this about South Dakota too, where they have a Super 16.
They have a Super 16 down there.
And that kind of is the same. At least it sounds like the same idea as what Wisconsin does, according to Eric.
Here's the reasoning you would be told. Well, this is the way we've always done it.
Yeah, I
which
mean that's for
I
everything.
Despise that
Yes.
to the core of my being.
I agree.
It's radical. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard.
Right.
I would like to see it put in print, like to see like how it would look.
I know. Yeah, there would have to be a little bit more details.
And I can tell you right now, you have a stiff pushback from the West because they love that WDA tournament.
Right.
That is it's in the fabric
Sold out
there.
the Bismarck
Yeah,
Events Center.
So
pretty much did for that championship
game. You have to really
game.
make it worth their while to go away from that. As we were saying,
the Wild, right? Is that what we were talking?
Yes.
It's going to be if last Thursday, if that game
that was a heck of a game. Man.
If that
you
proves
watched
it,
the end of that game.
I watched the end of it. Yeah, I went back and caught the end of it, and that was the game. What the Stars were up big, and then the Wild came back, and I thought, oh, maybe they were gonna have a chance to tie it, but then just couldn't get over that hump there. But if that game says anything about what the start of the playoffs could be, I think we're in for a pretty good one.
Evidently, it sounds like the game 1 is going to be on Saturday. So
I did hear,
programming predicament coming on Saturday because the Wolves play in the afternoon at 2:30, and I would bet the Wild are playing during the day as well on Saturday.
The rumor is that those that work at the Dallas Stars facility, they have to report at 12 in the afternoon. So I imagine that's some lead-up time to the game.
If they're playing at the same bleeping time, that would be so...
That's again, that's just a rumor. That has no basis on it. But if that's the case, then you might have to do some channel searching or set up the dual monitor there.
And the Wolves are on Prime, so already fans are already going to be PO'd because they can't find the game on regular TV that it's streaming.
That's true. But I think
Saturday
Prime is one of the easiest streaming sites to navigate because it's right there.
And they're used to it. If you have that for the NFL, I think there's enough people that are even casual fans of the Wolves will find it. It's pretty darn good. I've watched the last couple nights for the play-in stuff, and it's. The one thing is the audio is slightly ahead of actually what's happening.
I had heard that was the case. I was flipping on Prime yesterday. I watched about 5 minutes of the Frost game, and then I watched a little bit of the NBA, and then I went to whatever movie I could find. But, yeah, I would agree with you. If they could get that squared away, was there some technical difficulties that they had to square away?
They literally, on Tuesday night in the Hornets-Heat game in overtime,
That's tough.
I read whatever. We've incurred, we had this, like when the generator goes out, we're literally off the air. They were off the air for probably at least a minute.
I just couldn't imagine the panic.
Well, we've been there, right?
That's a big spot to just lose all power in.
And there's nothing you can say that will make anybody feel better.
Right.
We have to be on the air.
Nope.
There's no
room for excuses for fans watching live sports. That's for sure. I like what Prime did with the Masters, too, on that opening day. I thought that
They did. You know what? It was completely the opposite of Netflix's debut with baseball. Netflix made it about themselves and for the baseball rubes out there, and baseball fans are the biggest snobs when it comes to TV because they think their game is and I love it. I love baseball, but they just give us the game.
Right.
That's what Amazon did with golf. We're going to show you 2 hours of golf.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be about the Masters.
They integrated pretty much all of the master graphics that you're used to seeing, put that into their broadcast. There was really only one small Prime logo on the leaderboard, and that was all of the branding. All the branding that you could see from that. So I don't think Prime is the worst streaming site in the world, but to go back onto your point, that would be tough if the Wolves and the Wild are playing at the same time.
Well, I would say this, for what? Basketball or hockey? 2,
5, and 8, so
8 o'clock.
2 or 5, I would imagine, somewhere in there.
So lame. According to Pro Football Talk, the NFL and YouTube are working toward a deal to take 5 standalone 2026 games to streaming. So, and again, the head of the FCC has been decrying this, saying that the NFL should stop putting all of its, and they might break its antitrust agreement that the NFL has because they don't want to keep having games go to stream it. The NFL knows they can
How many platforms is that on right?
10.
10 platforms for the NFL. Yep. That's unbelievable.
And people buy it because it's the NFL.
Well, you have to, people aren't going to not watch the games,
Yeah.
But that's starting to get to be a little bit too much.
So Front Office Sports reporting that YouTube and the NFL have, quote, entered a long-form contract review for the slate of games. This means they've reached a consensus as to the major terms, and they're hammering out the precise language of the contract. So YouTube is the home of Sunday Ticket now, so they already have the entry point there. They did the Brazil game, remember a couple years ago?
Yes.
The Chiefs-Chargers game down in Brazil.
Forgot about that.
Eric, did they do a game exclusive last year? I can't remember if YouTube did or not.
Yeah, that was last year's Chiefs-Chargers.
Oh, was that last year?
Yeah, we were in Nashville.
Okay, so there. I thought it was 2 years ago. So they've already done it before. So
Interesting.
I'd be interested in who is doing the games,
right,
and how it looks. How much is it going to cost? What are we hearing on it? Is this what they're paying, or what's going to cost us to watch it?
What it would cost us to have ESPN Plus, Prime, NFL,
the whole shebang,
Netflix,
huh?
Peacock, and then YouTube. So not including Sunday Ticket is $247.76 for the season.
That's a lot.
A monthly cost of $61.
See, when you say that,
it's
not bad.
That's not that bad, but that adds up.
But then when you throw in the Sunday Ticket, which is $400,
$480 if you don't have YouTube TV.
So then you're in your $500.
If you have YouTube TV, you can pay for it in like chunks. You don't have to pay the whole time.
Yeah, see, I paid it because I don't have YouTube TV yet. I've been threatening to do it for a while. Like, it came last year in a chunk. Like, whoa, what's that?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah. And then
you said you were going to get YouTube TV last
and
year when you went on vacation.
I'm not doing the Sunday Ticket anymore. Like,
I don't blame you. I mean,
I have the Red Zone.
Yep.
And the Red Zone is still, as far as I know, part of DirecTV. I think for now, that might be going away. I like the Red Zone.
Yeah. That gets you everything that you need.
Until the Jets decide they're actually going to be competent, I'm not doing the ticket anymore. Because that was the only reason I got it.
Yeah.
But now I don't devote as much time. I do in our fantasy league.
Yeah.
But honestly, I watch it more on Red Zone. I find out if my guys stink or not. So.
I'm old school. I got the bunny ears, and whatever I can pick up on that is what I'm watching on that Sunday. I can get WDAY, and I can get what other channels are in those games, and then I have some select streaming services. So. That's all I got. I don't know if I can commit to the whole $200 and $60 a month. That's just me, though.
Let's break. We come back. We got a few emails to get to with Sam. We'll chat also. As we mentioned, the draft is a week from today. You're going to be in studio. You can do that for our Hot Mic mock draft.
When and where? You tell me.
Well, the show's on at 9.
Okay.
So next Thursday at 9.
Here, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we'll be here. Yes.
All right. I'll be there.
Let's do it. We'll break and come back. Much more with Sam on the other side. Steve Laqua coming up in about 20 minutes as well. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Back here with Sam. We got a few emails to get to. Dom, if you wouldn't mind asking Sam his thoughts on what went down at Shanley. You covered the Shanley girls last year. You called the AA tournament a year ago when Shanley was there.
Yep.
I'll just go. You have the floor.
I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days, and I'll try not to let my thoughts get jumbled here. I understand parents want what's best for their son or daughter. I think that is a complete understanding. But when it comes to high school sports, there has to be a level of trust with the coaches and the athletic departments at that school. Now, granted, that level of trust has to be earned, and that starts with relationships, and obviously success plays a big part in that. Athletic director is a huge role in that, in what they do with the coaches and the parents and whatnot. But when it comes to instances like this where parents may try to make the decisions, that's not the place for that. You have to just be the fan of the stands. And I do understand that, yes, you want what's best. You want your son or daughter to play and have those memories in high school. And I think that's what it boils down to. And that can be a high emotion thing if things aren't going your way. But it really impacts the student athlete experience when it can get convoluted like that in instances like this. And really for Shanley, I don't know how much better can you get than what you had. You know what I mean? With Coach Maher and Coach Weber there. I didn't get the chance to meet or talk to Coach Weber. I haven't covered much of the Shanley boys basketball team in my time here, but I did know Beth, and I covered, as you mentioned, the teams that she brought to the table and making it to the state tournament a couple of times and having all-state selections. Things were really trending in an upward direction. I don't know how. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know how you can top that with your next hire, because you always want to improve when you hire a new coach. Am I not mistaken on that?
You would. Well, that's what they're hoping for.
Right.
And I don't, be careful what you wish for.
Exactly. And
that's what I'd say, as I have said.
It just, it seems like it's been a common trend, and it's not just with what we're seeing this year. It's happened in the past before. And I go back to what you said earlier this week. A part of this falls on an individual athlete. The part of you has to take the initiative to get better. I always fall back on that term, get better as well. And that goes back to, if we want to continue the playoff talk there, going 1 through 8, well, that leads off some teams from the East or some teams from the West will get better. That's what high school athletics are all about. And you have to show up and improve it. There's just so much politicking that goes on with high school sports, and it's not just specific to what's happening in South Fargo. It's across the country. You'll run into that everywhere, it hurts.
It just emboldens more to do it, though. This story made headlines around the region because of what went down, and it just.
I think it's
makes
fair.
It makes it more acceptable for the next time it goes down, and that's just not right.
It's fair to call it out when it happens because there's so many instances that it doesn't get called out.
And again, I had this brought up earlier. I'm not saying there aren't bad coaches,
right?
And I'm also not saying that you don't fight for your child, because I know I said that. But you need an athletic director with a spine, with a backbone to say, no, I'm not doing that.
It's a very, very difficult position, and every single athletic director has to deal with upset parents, upset players, upset coaches. That's just the nature of the business. But that's what you signed up for, and you can't just roll over. You have to. You hired these coaches, and you have to commit to them and trust that they can turn things into the right direction.
My dad texted me this of a story when I was a kid. I didn't know this story. He said, parents are the worst spectators at any kids' games, always have been, period. And he gave me 4 exclamation points, which my dad is into it then. He said, you see it all the time in sports. Parents, some I should say, can be another word I can't say. When I coached you in basketball, I had them follow me into the bathroom to complain. I don't remember that story at all. My dad did that when I was 9 or 10 years old. I was a great shooter. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Me too. Shooter. I was too. I think there's something about guys of our build that could just be great shooters.
But I have no recollection of this whatsoever. They follow them into the bathroom to complain. They can get crazy, but don't want to help.
Well, that's the thing. There's so many cases that it's not reported. And yes, this may be happening at a private school, but it's happening at public schools across the state, across the region, across the country. There's no exception to it. And
I just don't know, where you're going to find good young coaches anymore. It's like officiating. I don't know
exactly
where to do it. Why would you do this?
I did stories on this a couple of years ago that officials were essentially being run off because of unruly parents. It really is. And you hope that these coaches, if they want to continue, Coach Maher and Coach Weber, if they want to continue, they can land on their feet somewhere. But if I'm a prospective coach and a school like that has gone through issues like that repeatedly come to me, I'd be a little hesitant. If I'm a coach there now, I'm a little hesitant in seeing what's going on still. You know, it's a tough situation that's going on over there.
I would say thanks, but no thanks.
Right,
is exactly what I would say.
Right.
Yesterday we had Barika Penu here in studio. The draft is a week out. Might seem that Barika's going to get a phone call. I don't know about his name called.
Right.
That might be tough, but he's certainly going to get a phone call here, which is...
It's still getting a phone call directly after the draft, I think, is still pretty impressive. And good for Barika. What a career he put together at North Dakota State, capped off with a really exciting senior season. I think he deserves it. He's got a good build. He's waited his time. He's developed, and last season he was no stranger to finding the end zone. Now, I've seen that some may be a little wary because of his 40 time. What was that, like a 4.6 or something like that?
And he said it yesterday. He was still not 100% healthy when he ran from what happened at the American Bowl. But his ability to block has been something that's picked up. He mentioned that yesterday when he was here in studio. So, because I have had a couple Bison fans say, "Wow, he was just an average player. He's not going." I'm like, I don't think so. I think he's gonna get some traction next weekend. Which is gonna be
it
fun
always
to
goes
watch.
back to the conversation. There's so much more happening in the game as opposed to the rushing numbers or how many touchdowns or how many carries or yards per carry. There's so much more that goes into it. And for instance, blocking is one of them. And NFL teams take notice to that. And it looks like they have.
Yeah. One last thing before we let you go here. It's, from Yahoo Sports. If the NCAA adopts its age-based eligibility concept, will 4-year seniors be grandfathered in with an additional 5th season? It seems likely, but uncertainty lingers. One source saying it truly is a limbo situation. That is fascinating for guys that are going to be, and not just guys, athletes that are going to be seniors coming up or seniors now.
Right?
Do I have another year or not?
That's the burning question moving forward.
That's unbelievable. That's why
I
there's
just
so many
can't
basketball
imagine
players went in the portal because I might have another year to play.
Exactly. Man, if I'm a student athlete and I'm trying to figure out school, what's going on with my team. Oh, by the way, I need to figure out what's happening in this to see if I can continue to do this. Oh, what a headache! Tip of the cap to them for being able to navigate that. And yes, they do have help with those in the administrative roles. But man, that is a whirlwind going on in your college career.
I just can't imagine. Like, all right, I'm going to either start the real world or hey, can I play another year?
Yep. Exactly. It kind of reminds me of Tay Smith with NDSU basketball. Found out that he had that. He was ready to hang it up because he had exhausted his eligibility, and then found out he had another year that just kind of came out of nowhere. He's like, well, okay, I'll go try it again and delay the real world for a little bit, and it worked out for him.
All right, we got to go. We'll see you next week for the mock draft.
Yes.
The Colts are not going to be drafted in the first
round.
round.
What's the point? What's the point of the draft? That's a fair point. Eric said I have to be awake. It might be a grind, but I'll be here ready to go.
For those that forget, 2 years ago? Was it 2 or 3 years ago when they drafted Anthony Richardson? You got that one right on.
That was about, 3 years ago, I think,
Gosh,
now, isn't it?
I'm old.
Can you believe that?
I can't believe that.
He played 1 year, and then that was it.
But you got that one right on the screws. You got that one.
Elite draft mind, what can I say? Now, the Colts aren't in the first round, so if we want to do a second-round mock draft, I'm all for it.
I don't know what the viewing audience is for that, let alone the first round. But thanks for coming by, bud. We'll see you next
appreciate
week.
It.
Sam Goetzinger joins us each and every Thursday at 10 o'clock. We'll break. We come back. How about a special off-season appearance from our guy, Steve Laqua will join us. Dragons are wrapping up spring ball. Talk about the draft. He's got his quarterback might be getting picked. We'll visit with him when we come back. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show rolls on. Our next guest, I always love talking to him. I don't know if he's aware of this because it came from his football field, that lovely dragon pylon that was sent over by his boss, Chad Markison, as Steve Laqua joins us, head football coach at Minnesota State University Moorhead. Did you know about this transaction that was going down?
I knew that was going down. I was excited. The great thing is, we're twins. I got one in my office too, so I think we put this up. It's kind of like this I feel like it's this beacon of hope that you have back there. For so long you look at the Jets back there, and it just kind of is demoralizing for people. You see that dragon kind of. It's like a lighthouse out there.
I was gone. I think I took a couple days off, and I came back, and the thing is leaning up against my office door. I'm like, what is that? And then I saw the note from Chad, so that was fantastic. It's heavier than I thought. I didn't know those things are that heavy.
Oh yeah, we're built tough around here, and it becomes a heck of a doorstop if you need that. I'm not sure if you've tried to
I haven't yet
that or not.
Oh man, it's great to see you.
Some people say I'm good for a doorstop too, so it's like we're kind of all together here.
I want to talk some Dragon football here in a second, but for people that don't know, in a past life, you were the head football coach at Shanley before you got the Dragons job. And I'm not going to ask you specifically about what went down this past weekend. I will ask you about your experience there because you took over, they weren't very good. And you admitted that to me, and obviously you guys got really good. But what was your interaction like with parents when you were coaching there?
Honestly, I had a great experience there. My 4 years there were phenomenal, not just on the football field, but in the school system with the parents. I didn't have any issues with the parents. I mean, probably the biggest concern I had with my first year, and we're we won one game, and the parents were like, that season was great. We're so excited. I was like, oh boy, this season was miserable. Like we can't beat anybody. The bar's really set low. You know, I had great experiences with the parents. A lot of those parents are great people that are still people I keep in contact with. You know, and that's what I felt like as a whole, that parent group, not just football, but all sports is good. And so I can only speak in my situation, and I loved my time there. I had a great experience.
Steve, how big of a deal to have an athletic director that has your back? Randy Nelson had your back. How big a deal does that make your job easier?
Well, it's definitely anytime, right? Whether you're at MSUM, you're at Shanley, you want somebody that's going to support you. And you know, I think I'm somebody that does things differently in a lot of ways. Yeah. If you look and maybe breaks the mold on how we practice or the schemes we run, if you look at even back to Shanley, well, the first state championship, we were under center the whole time and ran the ball. And then the next year we were shotgunning through it all the time. You say, what's this crazy guy doing? Or even how we do things here are different, throwing it more than anybody in the country. To have somebody that believes in what you're doing, understands what you're trying to accomplish, and that it's not just about the football. It's about how you're treating kids, how you're doing those things. You want to have somebody in your corner. I think everybody wants somebody in their corner in life, whether it's at work or whatever it might be.
I know you don't deal with this. I don't think you do on the college game. But if you had a parent that was upset that, hey, my kid's not playing, why is he not playing? How do you handle that?
Well, I've had the same policy since way back when I was at Shanley, when I became a head coach. And it was just like, you know what, playing time's not something I'm going to discuss with parents. I'll discuss it with the players for sure, and encourage them to do that. This is part of sports are a tool for life. And so you have those conversations about, okay, maybe why am I not playing? What do I have to do? How do I see it? Let's have difficult conversations. Let's make sure we have open environment, an open door, a safe space. Like, hey, it's okay to ask, and we can leave and agree to disagree. And I've had a lot of difficult conversations with players, and I think those are growing situations, and that's what sports is for. And so parents is like one of those things like, yeah, it's great that you're concerned. Let's have your son talk to me about it, and we'll address it and go from there.
I appreciate your perspective on that, and thanks for diving into that. There's no easy way to shift gears here, but I'm gonna, because we're a week out from the NFL draft. I keep seeing your quarterback's name everywhere. I know he got a visit with the Falcons and the Panthers. What do you know the latest on what's going on with Jack Strand a week out from the NFL draft?
Yeah, we're hopeful. You know what? He's doing all the things that he can. He's been at almost every one of our practices in the morning at 6 a.m. and kind of coaching and helping out. Obviously missed some when he was on his NFL visits. We're hearing a lot of good things. You know, we'll see how it plays out. The thing that I'm most excited about, he's going to end up in a camp, and he's going to get his opportunity.
Yes.
And I do really believe all he needs is an opportunity. And once he does that, he's going to be a really hard person to get rid of out of an organization for both off the field, both of those things that check the boxes. So excited for him. Excited for him, our program, his family. It's going to be exciting in a couple weeks here.
We had him on a couple weeks ago, Steve, and I asked him about what do you remember about the recruiting process. So let me flip it and ask you, what was that in-home visit like with Jack?
Well, here's the things I remember. I remember like I couldn't get him to really talk to me at all at the first camp. And I was like, well, okay, well, we maybe don't have a shot. And then the second camp, I said hi to him, and he kind of like remembered who I was. I was like, okay, we got a chance here. And I do specifically remember telling one of our coaches, we're watching him throw at this camp, and I said, if he ends up being a Dragon, like we might have broken hands across every single wide receiver, because he didn't have a lot of touch, but he ripped that ball as hard as he could, whether they were 5 yards away or 55 yards away. And so those are the things that stand out. He came to a game visit. I remember that. Like, that's where we were really excited. Like, hey, we've got a shot here. Until then, we didn't think. And so those were kind of the pivotal moments to me that stand out. And obviously the rest is history from there.
He told me that he's been asked a lot about going under center. So that's obviously something he did not do at MSUM. How big a deal that transition of doing that from college to the NFL will be a hurdle, do you think?
Well, I'll speak out of both sides of my mouth. So I think Mike Leach said, like, you know what, if you can teach any Pop Warner kid how to get a snap from under center, it shouldn't be too difficult. So I'm like, okay, we should be fine. Now, on the flip side, I am very adamant that I don't want to go under center even to do a quarterback sneak because we just don't practice it. And now we're going to try and do that in a difficult situation. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Realistically, everybody can take a snap. He'll be fine with that. I know they've worked some of that stuff with his quarterback trainer.
What have they told you, or what have you heard Jack told you? What is the NFL really like about him at the next level?
Well, I think his processing, right, and the data points. You look and go, if you look at how many times has this guy thrown the ball in drop back situations? Because to win in the NFL, you got to do that on third down and in 2 minutes. He's not throwing bootleg play action passes. He's not throwing a bunch of RPOs. He's doing the things that you need to do to win at the highest level. And quite frankly, I don't want to say you can teach anybody to run a bootleg pass and throw it on the run, whatever, but you've seen how NFL coaches can manufacture that out of subpar quarterbacks, right? And so he's doing the things that are showcasing everything he has. He's not getting things manufactured. He's not having to fake his way through or inflate stats or anything like that. He is just raw data. Here's his processing speed and what we're going to ask him to do at the next level.
Did you ever see him play baseball? He was a really good baseball pitcher, right?
I did not see him play baseball, but I can imagine how the ball would come off of his hand.
Yeah.
Big, long arm swinging around. Just a multi-sport athlete from a small town. It's like, and no, you didn't really see it, right? He's a wing T quarterback that hands the ball off or throws on the run until maybe third and long, and then you kind of see it. So, I mean, it was definitely a projection. I don't know that we are special by any means. We probably got lucky in the deal, and hats off to him turning himself into a great drop back quarterback.
How big a deal is this for your school? Whatever happens, if he ends up in a camp somewhere, how big a deal can this be for MSUM and your football program?
Well, I think it's really big, especially in today's world of the portal, right? A lot of people are like, well, why is he still there? Why didn't he leave? Well, like, there's something special about this place. Like, let's just say what it is. He's special, but there's something special here as far as football program, campus, whatever it is. He chose to be here. And I think sometimes we get caught up in, if you have a bigger name, D1, or a bigger, school name, there's more value, there's more important, or it's better. I'm like, I don't know. Steph Curry came from Davidson. I mean, is Davidson a basketball powerhouse? Like, I don't know. Well, Steph Curry's turned out all right. And I think you can translate that to, it's not just football, but hey, you know what? Someone can come from here and they can make it in broadcast journalism and be a great sports reporter or whatever avenue they go down in life and say, this is the same. It's just a different plane. This one just has more visibility.
I read here that yesterday, I know you follow the NCAA cabinet and all the meetings that are going on there, but it sounds like they gave a review of commercial logo use. Does that mean something you can have some patches on jerseys coming soon?
Yeah, I'm not in the loop on that, but like if that's what it needs to be, who knows? This could be a crazy looking, we could look like a NASCAR pit crew out there. Whatever we got to do, I guess.
You are in the middle of spring ball, so let's talk about the 2026 Dragon. You actually get to scrimmage, which is against another team, correct?
Yeah, that's been a great addition here in the last couple of years. And so on Saturday at 2:00, we'll be in Bemidji scrimmaging. It's kind of a controlled scrimmage, but it's live tackle, so it's a little different. Before, we probably did it a little more like joint practices. This one is a little bit more like a scrimmage where we'll get some live tackling. We won't tee off, on the quarterbacks in that situation, but everybody else, it'll feel a lot like a game. And so I think that's good. We're a really young team. We graduate 24 seniors. There's a lot of names. You don't know who they are. If this was last year, we probably play that first group one drive and they come out and everybody else plays. I'm like, hey, our starters are going to be out there for at least half of this thing because they haven't really played in games very much. And so we've got to get them the feel of what it's like, but we also have to get an evaluation on, okay, who's ready that's above the line that can play in games and who isn't. So this is it's a big day for us. Hopefully the weather is going to be okay. It looks to be a little bit rough in Bemidji Saturday, but you know what? That is what it is.
It's football weather at the end of April, right?
Yeah, I think feels like temperature earlier in the week was 6 for that 2:00 kickoff. I think it's up to 10 or 12 right now, so it's could be a heat wave. Thank goodness we've been practicing in the morning. We've had plenty of 10-degree days. So I'll tell you, this morning was a lot nicer. 45 or whatever it was. I felt like I was sweating out there. So.
Are you an NFL draft guy, or is this something you're going to have to pay attention to because what could happen next week?
It's crazy because I do actually kind of like following the draft, even though I don't know who any of the players are, right? I'm like, oh, they draft this, but it's curious to me of, okay, how do teams build their roster? Is it trading away picks? Is it, hey, they're trading down? Are they trading up? I'm really, that part always is curious to me on how teams get developed and what they're looking for. And, you go back to the Patriots where they are always trading down and they add value and do it different ways. And so I think that's really interesting. And so I do watch those things. Obviously going to watch and hopefully be able to hear Jack's name. I know it's a special moment. It's crazy. I was lucky enough to be sitting next to Rob Hunt when he got, the phone call from Tony Dungy, getting drafted in the 5th round by the Colts. And that was a bit of a surreal thing. You see it on TV. You're like, oh, whatever. People get excited. Like, oh, it's good. But when you're sitting there in real life, you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. This is kind of, it becomes a little bit overwhelming. I think the biggest thing, it's like signing when you're a college player. Great, you signed, but you haven't done anything yet. Like, you just got a ticket in the door. This is just the beginning, and people got to remember that the draft is not the end point. It's the starting point.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for giving us a few minutes. Be well. Good luck this weekend. We'll catch up probably next week, okay?
That sounds great.
Steve Laqua joining us here, head football coach, Minnesota State University Moorhead, former Dragon Jack Strand. We're going to hear his name sometime in the day 3 of the NFL draft. Really cool stuff for the Dragons going on over there. Appreciate his perspective as well, what his time at Shanley. We'll break. We come back. We'll wrap things up. Get you ready. We got a great Sports Thursday on tap. Beautiful outside. We'll wrap up Hot Mic on WDAY Extra right after this. Thursday morning. Big show tomorrow. Corey Provis will be with us. Twins getting ready for a weekend set with Cincinnati. He will join us tomorrow morning. A couple other guests planned as well. Looking forward. We're already Friday. Week just over like that. Let's get a couple emails in here before we wrap up. Dom, I saw the mid-major player of the year, Brooklyn Meyer, was not selected in the WNBA draft and didn't even get an invite to a camp. Your colleague John Gaskins at Sioux Falls Live did some research, and it's pretty conclusive that mid-major players do not have a shot at the WNBA, even though many of them were offered by Power 4 schools. My question is, absent big money NIL, is it the way to draw transfer for mid-major women's basketball teams is selling them on a shot at the WNBA? I would think so, but that, first off, that is making it to the NBA. I think we found out with Grant Nelson and his journey there how incredibly difficult that is. WNBA has, 15 less teams than the NBA does to begin with. So automatically just think of that the amount of opportunities is half of what the NBA has right now. Now, the opportunity to go play overseas is certainly lucrative, and that several Bison women's basketball players have done that over the last 15 years or so. But to answer that question directly, I would imagine that's part of the allure, but you don't see it as much. You just don't in the women's game. Avery's a great example. Coonan was here last week and telling us that she was going to stay. You see it more of the high major to high major transfer in the women's game. You don't see a ton of the conference player, maybe a little bit more, but still not a ton of the mid-major jumping up to Power 4. Occasionally, just it does not necessarily happen. Not as much as we see in the men's game. Nowhere close on that. Another email, Dom, uniform update. The Rams have announced new uniforms for 2026. I appreciate our viewers that know this. What is, Eric, what's different about this? Is there anything? It looks the same. I like, first off, that is the color the Rams should always be. When I was growing up in the 80s, this is what the Rams looked like. When Jim Everett was the quarterback, and this is what they did. Henry Eller they had, and Flipper Anderson, those are the guys. Jackie Slater, offensive lineman, that was the guys. That's what they look like. It doesn't look anything different to me on, it's just like what the Commanders did yesterday. There was nothing different about that. We're just making things up now about new uniforms, which wouldn't be the first time probably that's happened. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. We got the RBC Heritage underway today from Hilton Head, 1 o'clock on the Golf Channel. Our guy Tom Hoagie is playing now. We'll update you on that tomorrow. Mariners and Padres, what a crazy game that was last night. 7:30 on MLB Network tonight. And the final night of the NHL regular season, watch the Mammoth just to see the Zamboni. The Zamoth back out there. 6:30 tonight on ESPN. They're going to the postseason, is Utah. Before we go, why is your stadium broken in Milwaukee, Eric Bedell? This is the video last night. The Blue Jays are playing the Brewers last night. It's literally raining inside. What is happening here?
That's what happens when it downpours.
It was a bad rainstorm in Milwaukee last night. It was raining inside. I still call it Miller Park. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.